Hey G-Fans, GojiFan93 here, and it is finally time for me to give my review / thoughts on Shin Gojira. So, pretty much by now, I think a lot of us have seen the film, and also some of you guys have, I think, about, 2 more days to view it. I think the film stopped showing on the 18th of this month, at least in the United States. I'm not sure how it is worldwide, but I was able to watch Shin Godzilla on the 12th. And I haven't been able to get my review out until today because of work scheduling and all that good stuff. But I did do a live stream with Asusa Productions giving our thoughts on the movie. So if you've already seen that, you kind of already know what I'm going to talk about in this video. But for the people who don't want to watch a 2-hour long live stream, here it is for you, my thoughts more concise in this video. Also, I'm going to be doing a review just like I normally do, talking in front of the camera, more in a vlog style. It's not really scripted. I'm just going to be giving you my honest thoughts on the film, and yeah, so here we go. Shin Godzilla, or Shin Gojira, or Godzilla Resurgence, has a lot of titles, but that's basically what a Japanese Godzilla movie should have, like at least 3 different titles, right? So right off the bat, I'm just going to say I did enjoy the film. I really did. It was refreshing. It was different, it was unique, and that's what I loved about this film the most, was that it didn't really stay safe with the Godzilla mold that we've kind of all come accustomed to. Now, I do say that one of the negatives I give Legendary when it comes to Godzilla is that they played it safe. But then again, on playing devil's advocate, Godzilla 2014 kind of had to play it safe because they had to make right what 1998 did wrong. So for them, I give them a pass, but still, as a movie itself, it played it pretty safe. That's why with Shin Gojira, it was so nice to see Toho taking a huge risk with the character, with the design, with the powers he has, and just the movie all around. Also, I will be getting into some spoilers, so this is a spoiler review as well. But like I said, I think by now most of you guys have seen the film, and if you haven't, then skip a little bit. I'll kind of give a warning when I'm going to get into spoiler territory. So first off, I want to say talking about the film, the musical score was just phenomenal. I loved the music of the film. We had a couple of Akira Ifukube tracks put in there, which is really nice. It was kind of a cool throwback, kind of a little bit of fanfare. It was really cool to see that on the big screen, and that's one of the cool things too, is being able to see a Godzilla movie from Japan on the big screen. I mean, we don't get that often. The first time I got to see a Godzilla film from Japan on the big screen was back when Godzilla 2000 came out. I can't believe it's been 16 years since that movie. And I also did see Godzilla 1998 in theaters, but it kind of Godzilla 2000 was more of a legit Godzilla movie. So yeah, that was really cool. So the fact that I get to see another one in my lifetime is fantastic. If only I was born in '84, I could have seen '84 in theaters, but oh well. So the music still, yeah, phenomenal. I highly recommend buying the soundtrack. I still need to buy the soundtrack. That is one thing that I really need to get. You can buy it off Amazon, eBay. I think also CD Japan has the copies, so I highly recommend getting it, because the original part of it, because yes, you have the Akira Ifukube tracks, but you also have the original, composed things, and it's amazing. And if you guys watch the Attack on Titan movie, which also just came out on Blu-ray, by the way, it's by the same composer who did the music for the Attack on Titan movie, who's now doing the Shin Godzilla movie. So the music is just phenomenal across the board. 2 thumbs up. I loved it. Second thing, the characters. I really did like the characters. It was a very political movie. Yes, there was a lot of talking, and that probably might be one of the negatives I have for it, is that there were some parts in the film where I really felt bored. There is a lot of talking, and not just saying that there's a lot of talking, but there is a lot of expository dialogue. They're talking about this and how that works and blah blah blah. Then again, when you think of older Godzilla older Godzilla films, you kind of remember that that's kind of what they did anyways. But in the older Godzilla films, you kind of notice that yes, they had the military political side of it, but then they kind of would move to this like family or more of a character that you could relate to, because honestly I don't know any I don't have any family members that are in politics or anything like that, so for me it's kind of a foreign thing. Like I don't really know how that environment is, so it you know, that's kind of why most Godzilla films have like a family or a character that a lot of people could relate to while everything's going on. This film does not have that whatsoever. It is 100% focused on this group that is working in the government, working in this, you know, whole political aspect thing. Which then again, I will give it props for, because that is something new and it's something that we haven't seen before. Basically, it just takes more detail of those political military meetings in the older Godzilla films. It just kind of stretches them out and really gives you an idea of like how much red tape they have to go through to get something done, you know? So still though, the characters I like. The main character, I don't know any of the names, so I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to say the main guy, basically, you know, he wants to be the prime minister in like 10 years. That was one of his goals or something like that. But he was really good, a very level-headed guy. He was one of the first people to say, you know, oh, could it be a giant monster? I remember like at the beginning of the movie when Godzilla comes ashore, they're like, Godzilla's tail is like, you know, coming out of the ocean, and some of the people like don't really even know what's going on, and he's like, well, it could be a giant, could be like this big monster thing, and everyone's like, no. So I kind of liked how he was the first person to point it out, and he was really smart. He was really good, very resourceful of a character, really good main lead, and someone to follow throughout the whole film. Then we also have the supporting cast. Once again, really good supporting cast. Really liked all of them. There weren't really any characters I didn't like. And the other cool thing that I liked is that usually, once again, in older Godzilla films, there's usually one character who's kind of an asshole to the main character. And there was no character in this movie that kind of made a conflict with the main character. They all work together, and it really shows you like how much you can get done when all of us work together. And that might be one of the messages that the film, you know, is trying to say, is like, look, when humanity really bands together and works together and no one's really bickering over stupid things, we can get amazing things done. That's kind of the message that I'm taking from the film. Maybe it's up to interpretation, I don't know. Then one of the female characters, who was shown a lot in the trailers, she can kind of speak English as well. And in the film, the one that Funimation is showing right now, it's in subtitled. So we watched the movie in Japanese audio, but in the film, she actually speaks English in a couple lines. Kind of weird thing though is she kind of speaks English on and off. Like she'll speak English for a couple lines and then speak Japanese for the next, and it's just like, it's kind of weird. It's kind of jarring of a weird mix-up between both languages. It's just kind of like, pick one, you know? But anyways, it was kind of cool though. It got a couple laughs out of me, and it got a couple laughs out of the audience that I was with. And that's another thing I want to go on to, is that this movie had comedy. And the thing that was really nice is that, yes, this movie is very serious. I mean, it is 100% serious. But it had these very, really like good comedy relief parts put in. There was like, for one instance, this one guy, they're trying to figure out, I think, if I can remember correctly, something about Godzilla's body and his cells, and they're trying to figure out something, how he works, basically. And the guy's on his computer, you know, and typing away, and the camera has like this far off view of like the whole team in this office room, and then you see him just go, yes, I did it! And he's just like, you know, dancing and jumping around, and everyone's like, what's going on? Like, that was kind of a funny moment. And then also, spoiler alert coming up, when the Prime Minister dies, which was another big thing to me. I was like, wow, no other, like, in other Godzilla films, we have the Prime Minister character, but he's always safe, like in some kind of bunker with a bunch of screens going, you know, looking around. This one, he actually dies, and they have to get a new guy to take his place. But the new guy that took his place, this is probably going to be a new meme that's going to be posted all over the internet when it comes to Godzilla, is he has some noodles, and he's just sitting at his desk, and he's just like, these noodles are soggy. I knew this job wouldn't be as easy as I thought. And it's just like, that part was hilarious. So they had little sprinkles of comedy that was really implemented well. That really made it nice, and it kind of made it feel like a Toho Godzilla film. You had a bit of that cheese in there that kind of just made you remember, yeah, I'm watching a Japanese Godzilla film, and this is great, you know? So, character-wise, yeah, it's great. I really liked all the characters. They were good. Not a lot of development with them, like with their backstory, but that's not really what the film was about, and that's not really what the film was trying to say. The film was just like going, here, this is what we have to do, let's go, let's go. So yeah, with the storyline, the plot, it's basically, I'm not going to delve too much into the plot because I don't want this review to go on for so long, but the plot is, your basic, hey, Godzilla popped up, what are we going to do to kill him? And that's it. That's kind of this. I mean, we've seen this plot before. It's really nothing new, but it's how the execution of the story and how they plan to take out Godzilla that's new and unique, and that's what I really like about it. I mean, you can take an old story that works, but it's how you write it out and how you make the story that makes it interesting. Any story is interesting, it's just how you do it. So, or any story can potentially be interesting, it's just how you execute it. So yeah, the story was really cool of like how they wanted to take out Godzilla, and I'll probably get into that later as probably one of my favorite scenes in any Godzilla movie ever. So now on to Godzilla himself. Oh man, you know what, real quick before I talk about Godzilla, along with the music and the sound effects was something that I really loved. It was a huge treat to be able to hear a lot of the old Tsuburaya Showa sound effects, like when Godzilla's tail hits the ground, or when buildings get destroyed, or when explosions happens, or bullets going off. Like, you remember, if you're an old Toho fan, you remember these sound effects, and it was great. Like, that was a treat for me. So just wanted to remember to get that in there. But yes, Godzilla himself. Holy crap! All right, here we're gonna get into some major spoilers. So spoiler warning. Spoiler. Godzilla has 3 forms, technically 4 forms, but it's weird, they never really address the first form. But I guess you call it Form A when it comes to the Bandai figures. I don't have anything, by the way, I don't have any figures of Shin Godzilla because I'm waiting for X Plus to make their Shin Godzilla figure. But you do have the Monster A and Monster B, and the first form is like this, Godzilla just comes out of the ocean and he's just this weird snake-like, I don't remember what else they would tadpole kind of thing, I think. His, like, the color scheme was like very tan, and he had like some red spots on his gills where he would bleed a lot. I do not know anything about that. I'm going to watch a couple more videos, probably from D-Man1954. If you guys have seen his channel, I highly recommend going to it. He does a lot of videos about Shin Godzilla and very informative videos, so I highly recommend going to him for that. And I'm probably going to watch after this the whole origin of that. That was a little bit of a weird thing. I knew about the forms going into the movie, but it's just seeing it on screen and actually seeing it in action, it was kind of hilarious. Like, just the way he would move, and he just seemed to have this big dumb smile on his face when he would go through the city. I mean, honestly, like, if I saw that in real life, yeah, I'd probably shit my pants and run. But watching it as a movie, yeah, it's kind of silly. I do have to kind of agree with Rob from ETN that it was a little bit silly, but at the same time, it reminded me of the Showa feel, and it was alright. Like, it's fine because, it's like, and that's just how, the Japanese kind of like art style with monsters do it. I mean, if you guys look at some of the Attack on Titan actual Titans, their faces are not really, some of them are really creepy, but some of them are just hilarious. So it's just the way that they kind of do design-wise. The second form, which doesn't even last long through the movie, he just kind of, when he transforms, by the way, it's very fast. Like, he just kind of like gets bigger and then changes color into red and then just goes and he's there. It's very fast. I kind of thought it was going to be more of a gruesome transformation, but oh well. He shows up, not for long though, and he runs away, and then he comes back as the form that we all know from the poster and his actual look in the film of how he's going to look like throughout the rest of the film. But I like this design. I've said it from day one when they first revealed the poster with Godzilla's face. I liked it. I like this design. It's not my favorite design of all time, of course, but I do appreciate the difference and how this Godzilla is so different from the others. And I love how because he's so different and unique looking, that they give him powers that are very different and unique. So along with Godzilla and his different look, his powers are way different now. First off, he shoots, once again, obviously has his atomic breath, but it has this really interesting way of going. He starts by, he starts to glow purple. Once again, and that's another thing, the beam is purple, which I actually really like. I think that was kind of cool. Just, to have a different color. But he starts by, opening his mouth. His jaw rips open, by the way, or splits open. Not rips open, but splits open, which is cool. I like that. That was really awesome. And he just kind of, looks at the ground and then opens his mouth really wide. And it's like this just a volcano exploding out of his mouth. You can see this clip on YouTube, by the way. It's everywhere, and I'm maybe posting it right here or something. He just shoots it out, and what it does first though is he actually shoots like this black mist, and Asusa pointed this out when we did our live stream, that it kind of like, it's like this gas that he sets out, and then he ignites it with fire, and then it just like the whole city just in flames in an instant. It was like, wow, hot damn. No pun intended. But so then he keeps on doing it, and then like his beam focuses to the fine purple beam. It's not like Gauss's laser where it cuts through everything, but it's still kind of like a fine laser. But it's not a laser, but it looks like it. But it's still more of, you know, his atomic breath. It just cutting through things really quick, and that was really cool. Then the second power is he shoots a bunch of beams out of his dorsal plates, or it's not really his dorsal plates that shoot him, but it's like kind of in between his dorsal plates that all of a sudden all these like lasers shoot out. That I thought was pretty cool. I think that's a really cool defense system for Godzilla in this one, especially against, you know, like bombers and stuff. Like he just knows when they're coming up and just shoots them. Also, when he does that, his eye, I don't know if anyone's really talked about this, but his eye has like a shield that goes over it. Like right before he does his main atomic breath, his eye does like this, it just kind of closes. It's really cool. I really like that. That was awesome. But yeah, so he shoots the lasers, destroys all the planes out of the air, and it's great. Then the third thing he does, which I'm not actually a fan of, is he shoots a beam out of his tail. The tip of his tail all of a sudden shoots the beam. I'm not really in on that. That one's not really, I feel like that's going a little bit too far. But then again, on the other hand, always love to play devil's advocate. We've seen Godzilla do crazier things. We've seen him do a drop kick. We've seen him fly with his atomic breath. We've seen him play tennis with a lobster, and we've seen him play soccer with Anguirus. So honestly, his tail shooting a laser isn't really out of the ordinary when it comes to Japan doing crazy things with this character. And once again, that's what I say, is like, even though I don't agree with it, I love how Toho took the risks, and for me it paid off. Even though I don't agree with it, but it paid off. You see what I mean? So, and I can understand why people don't like this Godzilla, and I can understand why people don't like this movie. I can completely understand that. This is just my opinion. So, yeah. So he has all those different powers, which is really cool. And basically the big plot of the movie is to freeze Godzilla, because apparently they need to freeze his blood because he's like a nuclear reactor. And I thought they were going with like a burning Godzilla scenario, but they really didn't go that way. They just wanted to freeze him to make him stop, to make him lose energy. So I think my favorite scene in the movie is when they do their last operation. This is my favorite scene like of all time in the whole movie, and probably one of my favorite scenes in a Godzilla movie in a long time. They have this huge operation that they want to obviously freeze Godzilla, you know, from the inside with this. They kind of compare it to a blood coagulant, and it's like the way they do this whole operation is like by phases, and they plan out what Godzilla's going to do, and it's insane. Basically, what I can say is that someone posted during the live stream. It was an amazing comment. I don't remember your name, but you know who you are. They said that the trains got revenge. So you know, like in a lot of Godzilla films, Godzilla always destroys trains. That's like one of the trademarks, I guess. This time in the movie, they set trains to explode on Godzilla. So like Godzilla crosses the railroad, and just all these trains come by and just pile up and explode on him. And it literally makes Godzilla fall forward. Now what they do is, the plan was to make Godzilla fall forward so that they can come up with these trucks and get these like hoses into his mouth. Mind you, they are like driving super close to Godzilla, and they are going into his mouth, shooting this coagulant, ice, whatever stuff. I don't remember what it's called. And that's how they're going to freeze Godzilla. Then that was only the second thing. The first thing they did was they actually detonated a bunch of buildings and made it fall on Godzilla. Kind of like in the scene in 2014 when Godzilla, you know, the building falls on him. But times 3. So it's like 3 buildings falling on Godzilla. Insane. So that was probably my favorite of all. I also want to talk about, before I wrap up this review, because this is beginning to get a long video here, the special effects. Now, this is one of the biggest things that a lot of people are talking about, obviously because it's a Godzilla film, and Godzilla films are known for their special effects when it comes to at least trying to be pioneers of movie effects. I will be that guy that says that I was disappointed that this wasn't a suitimation suit or you know, effect. I mean, look, I'm fine with it being a complete CGI Godzilla. I have no issue with that. But I really wanted one more Godzilla film to have CGI, or I mean, to have a Sunimation. I really did. But oh well, we're not gonna get that, which is fine. It just kind of, to me, this kind of spells the end for Sunimation as we know it. Like, this is really it. Because Toho decided to go with a complete CGI Godzilla, that means Sunimation's really dead. It kind of sucks, but in the same way, it's fine. The CGI, though, some shots were good, other shots really didn't look that good. For instance, when the first form comes up, and when he's transforming, that effect wasn't really that good at all. It was kind of garbage. Not really good. Not a good effect. And then, like, there are just some shots where Godzilla, like, it seemed like they didn't have the time, or they just didn't really want to give detail on the model or anything. So some shots look really good, other shots look really bad. So it's kind of like a mix-up of the CGI. So it's not the best looking Godzilla movie, but then at some points it does look like the best Godzilla movie. I don't know. 2014, one thing I'll give credit to is that it was consistent with its CGI. The CGI was amazing in 2014, and every shot with the monsters in it looked amazing and great and fantastic. So, but this film, it's kind of a mix-up. There's a lot of shots that look good, a lot of shots that look bad. So anyways. So, I'm going to wrap this video up. It's getting a little bit too long for a review for just one movie. But I do say go watch this movie. You know, I can understand why some people don't like it. I can understand why this movie might be a little bit too much for some G fans, which is completely fine. You know, this is just my opinion. It's just how I feel. But I did enjoy it. I can't wait for this film to come out on Blu-ray and rewatch it on my TV at home anytime I want to. Yeah, there were some parts. I mean, there's a lot of talking in the film, but at least the characters are enjoyable, and you kind of get a laugh or two in some parts. The Godzilla scenes are awesome as always. They're always eye candy, of course, even though some shots look not as good when it comes to the CGI. But yeah, that's really it. That's all I can say about the film. It's great. Go watch it if you haven't yet. And yeah, that's it from me, guys. So thank you so much for watching. Stay big, G fans.